So today we have with us Jill Buck from the Go Green Initiative, and Jill's really done some amazing work. I feel fortunate to have her here with us today. And you're welcome to go to her website at gogreeninitiative.org to read her complete bio. But just to give you a taste of what we're in for, in 2002, Jill founded the Go Green Initiative, a 501 global leader in environmental education, operating in all 50 states, 73 countries, and on 5 continents. And the last time I spoke with Jill, I mentioned that I heard her group alluded to in a popular television program. Her program's been endorsed by National School Boards Association, National Recycling Coalition, 9 state PTAs, the California Integrated Waste Management Board, which is now CalRecycle, CRRA, and many more. And Jill serves on the advisory board of the Green Schools National Network. She's also the host of Go Green Radio, so you'll want to check that out. And then come back around to her website and you can read a lot more about her great accomplishments. And with that, I'll turn you over to the star of our show, Jill Buck.
Thanks so much, Bob. It's great being with you all, and I appreciate everybody who has joined us today. I'm really excited to share some of the things that we've been doing with the Go Green Initiative for the last 13 years now. We have really been working hard to create a whole community approach, not just to recycling. The Go Green Initiative helps schools with other environmental issues as well, but today I'll just focus on some of the things that we've done around managing school waste and recycling in ways that we have gotten more than just the campus involved. We've gotten the whole community involved. One of the things that I'm really set on is making this not a death by PowerPoint. So please do, if you have questions, feel free to ask those at any time, or if you want to chat, I'm going to make sure that I try and keep an eye on that so that all of your questions get answered. If we don't make it through all of my slides, that's all right. The most important thing is that you get your questions answered. So before we really get moving here, let me just say that the Go Green Initiative has been around since 2002. I'm going to give you a quick background on the Go Green Initiative in just a few moments. But today we'll also be talking about some of the things that in that time period, that 13 years that we've been doing the Go Green Initiative, some of the things that we have found that really motivate campus partners, some of the things that motivate community partners, and those would be people who are off campus, anyone from elected officials to city staff, businesses, even local media, and some of the ways that you can get them interested in what you're doing. I'll talk a little bit about how to create a recycling program that attracts partnerships and reasons why people will want to get involved. And then I'm going to give you a couple of real-world examples of what we're doing right now in the Go Green Initiative. I'll give you an urban example of a program that I am hands-on with in Camden, New Jersey. And then I'll give you a suburban example from a similarly sized community, but a very different type of community in Pleasanton, California. And then I'll open it up for questions. But like I said, if you have questions throughout, please don't hesitate to give a shout out. Just a quick brief background on the Go Green Initiative. It really began more as a child advocacy program than even an environmental program. When I started the Go Green Initiative, I had just gotten out of the Navy. I was a legal officer at the time, and the one thing I remember clearly is that my commanding officer told me, if you can't measure it, it doesn't exist. And so when I became a civilian and I was a mom in PTA, you know, I was looking around at my kids' school and I could see that there were recyclable materials in the trash, but I'd ask the principal, you know, what do you do? Do you teach the kids about recycling? And they'd say, sure, you know, we have people come in and do puppet shows around Earth Day about recycling and that sort of thing. But again, I went back to that Navy part of my mind that said, well, if you were going to measure it, you know, how do you think you would do? You know, if you can't measure it, it doesn't exist. And in truth, once we kind of got down to the nitty-gritty of that conversation, the principals did have to admit that, you know, we really didn't have a measurable recycling program going on. And so in 2002, I was looking for a comprehensive program that would help my kids' school cover all aspects of their environmental footprint, whether it was recycling or green cleaning, integrated pest management, water and energy efficiency. And what I found at that time was that there were a lot of great programs, but they were very siloed. And oftentimes that's because the programs were developed by state or even federal agencies that had a charter to create, just a water program or just a recycling program or just an energy program. And from what I was seeing on campus, I knew that it would take, a teacher or a principal so many hours, scores and scores of hours, to go through all of those siloed programs and put together a potpourri of programs to cover all the bases when it came to our school's environmental footprint. And so I decided at that time I didn't find a program, so I created one, and I wrote the Go Green Initiative then in 2002. And our mission has not changed since then. We really have been trying to help schools conserve natural resources for future generations. We always say a penny saved is a penny earned. Well, the same thing is true of natural resources. Anything we're able to save today is something that our kids will be able to use tomorrow. And so that's a big driver and why a lot of people have gotten involved. We also, a lot of us who've been involved with the Go Green Initiative from the very beginning were aware or had children who helped make us aware that environmental pollution and environmental degradation can have an adverse impact on children's health. And so part of our battle cry has been to protect children's health through environmental stewardship. Currently, we have over 3,200 schools that are registered with the Go Green Initiative, and they run the gamut from preschools through universities. We do operate in all 50 U.S. states and in 73 countries around the world. So if I were to answer my phone every time it rang, I would never sleep, because we are in every time zone at this point. And it's really needing to be able to help schools in so many different geographic locations and demographics. You'll see at the bottom of that slide some of the recycling data that we've been able to collect. Some of our schools participate in data collection and reporting, some don't. We don't make that an absolute must for schools that find that too hard or too cumbersome, but we do encourage schools and we do teach them how to easily quantify their recycling rates, and then we can help them plug that into an EPA-sponsored calculator so that they can know what their environmental benefit is, so that they can report back to the kids, to the parents, to the teachers, to their local newspaper. The answer to the so what, so we've done all this recycling, so what? We help them answer that question by saying, here's how here's how much space you've saved in the landfill, how much energy and water you've saved, etc. So that's just a brief background on the Go Green Initiative itself. So, I think it's important for us to address why you need partners. Anybody who's ever gone to a school and tried to get them to start recycling, whether you were, part of the school community as a teacher or parent, or whether you were an outsider, maybe working for a city government, or you're a local recycling coordinator, or you work for a nonprofit that has, a mission to help schools recycle. Sometimes it can be very hard to break in and can be very difficult to come on board as a stranger. And so it's very important, and I could teach a semester course on all the different ways that we've learned to, get schools on board, but it's critical that you do have a different stakeholder groups on campus. People, we call it a green team, other organizations call it something else, but basically to have adults on campus who realize, whether they want to or not, they are role models for the students. And in as much as we hope that they don't, teach math with a Marlboro hanging out of the side of their mouth, or, teach spelling while they're throwing back a 40-ounce, we don't want them to teach the kids how not to recycle by throwing their recyclables in the trash right in front of the kids. And so, it's really important to get, principals and teachers and custodians on board on campus. And anybody who's worked on a campus recycling program knows for sure that it can't just be the custodians or just one passionate teacher or a few passionate parents running around picking the recycling out of the trash. It really is an all-hands operation, and it needs to be systemic in order to work properly. And, we have seen, even with the Go Green initiative, our campuses are not all perfect, and some of them have not been institutionalized recycling programs, and we've seen their recycling rates go down once that one person, that one parent, who was really into their kid graduates, and then the program falls by the wayside. And so we've learned some ways to institutionalize campus recycling. But it's really important as well to have off-campus partners. And I think one of the most important relationships that we try to help all of our schools build is a relationship with their waste hauler and with their recycling brokers. And I'm going to tell you more about how we do that when I talk about the urban example in Camden, New Jersey that I'm working on right now, and how that communication between the school district and the waste haulers and recycling brokers was broken, and how that really adversely impacted their recycling rates, and now how much better they're doing since they just had one easy phone call. And so actually in our planning guide, I'm going to show you in a little bit, on our website we have a free planning guide. It's free to anybody. It's a free download, and it actually has several appendices in it. And Appendix A is called Negotiating with Your Waste Hauler, and it's a simple checklist that schools can follow to work with their waste hauler to set up an optimal recycling system on campus. We also really work with campuses to try to find some local businesses who might kick in some funding for infrastructure like recycling bins or stickers for existing bins, or even for prizes and incentives, a pizza party for the class who recycles the most, or what have you. And so I'll talk a little bit about why companies might want to do that in a moment. And then finally, we need some off-campus partners, because there's nothing better than teaching the kids about recycling or any other environmental issue than showing them how it works in the real world. Taking them to a landfill and letting them see school papers in the landfill, maybe even papers from their own school, or taking them conversely to a recycling center and letting them see some papers all baled up, and maybe they'll find a program from their local church or whatever, and really getting them to see a real-world example of how the waste system in their community works. So what motivates campus partners? I can tell you this is not an exhaustive list because people are individuals, but what I've tried to do with this slide is give you some of the most common and most prevalent motivators for on-campus partners. Principals are busy men and women, and they are dealing with irate parents, bullies on the playground, controversy over curriculum, and everything under the sun, budgets and all kinds of things. And so they are going to be motivated in some different ways than maybe a teacher or a staff member or custodian might be. We found that if we can go in and talk to administrators about cost avoidance, that's a big deal. In Camden, New Jersey, where I'll talk about our program in a moment, we were able to talk to the superintendent and say, look, you're paying $67 a ton for dropping off your garbage. If you were to pull out your recyclables, you would only pay $27 a ton. Still a lot of money, we can all agree, but still less than if that same material gets dropped off, where your garbage goes. And so it doesn't take long when you show how many tons the school or the school district produces per month to show how much money they can save. Administrators also love turnkey solutions. And so if you can go in with something like our planning guide or some of the training slides that the Go Green initiative uses, and we can say, this can all be tailor fit for your school district or your campus, and all you have to do is say yes, then they like that, of course. Everybody likes accolades and recognition for the school, and that's why it's important for those of us who are trying to persuade a campus to recycle to have a good rapport with the media. Read your local newspaper, read your local blogs, read your local patch, whatever, wherever you're getting information and where your community gets information, and make nice with the reporters that cover both education and environmental issues. When you do that and you say, you know, I think I've got a story coming up for you, and you can actually get a school in your local media for doing some great things with recycling, that is one of the best ways to get every other school in the community to do the same, because every parent in all the other schools will say, hey, our kids should be doing that too. And it's a great motivator. So media and accolades recognition for schools is a big deal. And quantifiable benefits for students. And these are links that a lot of you are probably already familiar with. If you're not, send me an email and I will send you some of the studies that show that kids' testing performance and other quantifiable benefits for students goes up when they are involved in environmental education. I could do a whole slideshow on that, but I'll just leave that for now. And if you have any more questions about that, please let me know. For teachers, you know, there are some organizations that will go in and insist that recycling or whatever other environmental issue they're hot on has to be integrated into the curriculum. And I know that in California we've made great strides, and there have been some great materials made ready for schools to do exactly that. But there are some schools, you know, we do work nationwide, where the teachers say, I am going to have a nervous breakdown if you put one more instructional minute on me. I cannot do it. And we might try to persuade those teachers that they don't have to do anything new. They can integrate environmental education and recycling education into their existing curriculum. But if they absolutely won't, that's okay in my mind. The Go Green Initiative has always said, you know what, kids can still learn an awful lot about recycling from good behavior. And so if a teacher is willing to set up a recycling station, a bin, a box, whatever, in their room and show the kids where the recyclables go, what is to be recycled, and maybe talk about why every now and again, that's enough for us, and we can help them with some incentives. And one of the things that we do with this whole community approach to recycling education is to get in advance, before we go onto a campus, get some businesses, get some corporate sponsors on board to provide some funding so that we might be able to offer mini grants, we might be able to offer field trips or virtual field trips. And here's another thing that a lot of teachers actually love, and this is something that I know a lot of you can do, and that is give them the opportunity to have a video chat with a subject matter expert, whether it's in your town or somewhere else, where the kids can have a Q&A session with a subject matter expert. That's a big reward as well. It doesn't cost a dime. But teachers also are very lured by simplicity. For parents and families, if they happen to be in a community where they recycle at home, they're really going to want their kids recycling at school as well, getting that consistent message. Even in communities where they're not recycling at home, we found that a lot of parents really do care that their kids are going to a place where it's a healthy environment, where they're learning environmental stewardship. Parents are very keen on the idea of teaching kids about green jobs that are out there. If we can help kids find internships or scholarships, again, this is part of that whole community approach. And I'll show you some examples of how we've done this and some of the scholarships and things that we've been able to offer students. That's a big plus, and it will get parents and families behind it. Custodians, of course, you know, if we can increase recycling and they have less garbage to manage, that is very attractive. But one of the things that we have found has worked the best in getting custodians on board is to give them a leadership role. You know, in too many instances, we've seen recycling fail at schools where the custodians are the very last ones to be involved in the process. That, you know, a green team meets and they figure out what they think will be the perfect solution for where the recycling bins go and, you know, what should go in them, and then they inform the custodian instead of letting the custodian inform them as to how the waste stream is currently working and what might work best. And putting them on the green team, we feel like is just absolutely critical. Finally, motivating students is a lot of fun to do. There's a number of techniques that we've used with this whole community approach. Again, if you can get some companies to sponsor prizes and scholarships and whatnot, that's huge. But one of the other ways where markets provide this opportunity is for profit sharing. If you can find recycling brokers who will profit share with the schools, we found that that is really fun for kids to get involved with. If you can get student leadership teams, or you can get school clubs to work with the custodian to come up with a weekly checklist of what needs to be recycled, and then if their team or their club signs up to help for that week and they help the custodian, move the recyclables where they need to go, then they get to profit share on the amount of recyclables collected that week. And one of the things that we found is that when we're able to set a system like that up, you might see the basketball team sign up for a week of helping to recycle on campus, and they'll walk around at lunch saying, hey, man, that doesn't go in the trash. That bottle goes in the recycling. We need new basketballs. Or the cheerleader saying, hey, we need new pom-poms. Recycle that. We need the money. And they begin to understand the economics of recycling. And a lot of kids, of course, this is, some people are calling them Generation E for environmental. A lot of students, who have come up learning something, even if it's not everything they could know about the environment. They know that protecting the environment is important, and they want to have an impact on their school's environmental footprint. So that's kind of an overview of some of the things that we've seen motivate campus partners. Now, on the other side of the equation, what motivates community partners? Why would people outside of a campus give money or give resources or time to schools that are trying to recycle? Again, this list isn't completely comprehensive. This isn't everything. But these are some of the reasons that we've seen these various community stakeholders get involved. For school board members, if there is community or voter pressure, which, can also be, hastened through good media relations about, a handful of schools that are doing great recycling, that can have an impact on the school board. Of course, cost avoidance will always be popular, but also, getting good PR because they're helping students prepare for sustainability jobs or sustainability expectations. That is a school board's function, is to ready students for the next level. And if that's college or if that's career, we all know, and we can help educate school board members who don't know, that will require environmental stewardship. No matter what job our students end up with, managing natural resources will be important no matter where they land. And so, more and more school boards, since we've gotten the endorsement of the National School Boards Association, we've been able to go in and talk with more and more school boards about this very issue, and having their endorsement has really helped us make that case. Now, city officials are another breed. You've got staff and you've got elected city council members and mayors and what have you. In many cities, they do not have jurisdiction over schools. There's local control. We have a school board that is very separate from the city, and yet cities are under pressure to increase their recycling rates, to reduce their overall community waste, without having the authority over the school district, which of course will generate a lot of waste in every community. And this does give them an opportunity. This whole community approach to school recycling gives them an opportunity to have a positive impact on how their schools are managing their material. And so if they can participate by giving grants, if they can participate by underwriting field trips, or by providing awards, prizes, scholarships, or even, as you'll see in the example that we're doing in Pleasanton, we have our city manager who is letting high school students interview him about, how local politics affects our waste stream and affects, the way that we recycle in Pleasanton. So there's a number of ways that they can get involved. Businesses, this really will depend on your community, of course. I mean, if you're in a rural area, and I know that some of the folks who have signed up for this, seminar are from places, like Livingston, and we've got Tulare and some other smaller towns where, there may not be a huge corporation. But even if businesses, local businesses who would give maybe $250 to the Boosters Club or a Little League team, if they would consider a similar donation to giving prizes to kids who do a great job of recycling at their school, and you're able to offer them some sort of community recognition, well, you might be able to get them on board as well. And then if you do happen to live in a town where you've got large companies, a lot of them will have a corporate social responsibility page on their website that might be part of their philanthropic mission. And so there may be local grants that you can get, and we've been very successful in garnering those for our schools. A lot of businesses are beginning to understand that it's kind of a waste of their resources if they have to teach incoming workers about sustainability. A lot of companies realize that it's not just about spotted owls and hugging trees, that actually being energy efficient, water efficient, and recycling and reducing waste actually helps their bottom line. And if they have a workforce that comes in already knowing those things and knowing how to do those things, that's very valuable to them. So a lot of companies can be persuaded to get involved in a whole community approach with that argument as well, that we're actually helping to create a sustainability-minded workforce in the future. And then, of course, there are some companies, like, for instance, one of the companies that we're working with in Camden, New Jersey is the Campbell Soup Foundation. And Campbell's is very interested in having a place for their organic waste. But in New Jersey, that's very hard to come by. And so they are partnering with the school district to lure a new business that will come in and take their organic waste, and with their combined volume with a few other partners and the school district, what they provide out of their school lunch programs, that's enough incentive for a new company to come in and create an organic operation. So, we're able to increase the volume of either community recyclables or organics, and sometimes that's a big win for the businesses who want to get involved. Finally, why would the media? What would entice them to write stories about schools recycling? Well, in our case, because the Go Green initiative, which is free to all schools, by the way, schools can sign up whenever they want and do, whatever parts of the program they want to. We aren't really, restrictive. We don't make checklists that schools have to do in order to be a Go Green Initiative school. They just sign up on our website. And because we do have schools from 73 different countries that are involved with the Go Green Initiative, local newspapers love to link their schools to a global movement, and that we've had a lot of good success in helping local schools get media attention. And of course, there are a lot of local newspaper journalists who want to write about things like climate change and landfills becoming landfulls and things like that, but it's hard to find a local angle. And when you have schools that are involved with a robust recycling program, you can give those reporters exactly what they want, and that is a great story, local angle to these larger stories. I'd like to go into how to create a recycling program that attracts partnerships. And you will know, those of you who know me or know the Go Green Initiative, you'll know that we will work with school districts, but we will also get in with chambers of commerce, and we will talk to city leaders and anybody who will listen, anybody. And we'll start asking them these questions, like, for instance, where do our resources come from and where do they go? Shouldn't we teach students about that? What's the current state of our infrastructure, whether it's in our waste system, our energy system? Here in California, of course, the water system. Everybody's very curious about what exactly is going on here, with the drought. Is it just because we don't have a snowpack, or are there other infrastructure issues? And so without reading all of these questions, you can see them on the screen, but these are the kind of questions that we use to pique community partners' interest. And a lot of adults will say, well, gosh, I don't even know the answers to these questions. Yeah, we really should teach students these kinds of issues, and we should help them to become engaged citizens. And these are the kind of questions they're going to need to know, and the answers that they'll need to know to become intelligent voters and to become engaged in civic affairs when their time comes. In addition to talking to community partners about these important issues, we are constantly creating tailor-made messaging and content for the groups that you see on the right of your screen. Of course, we want to go to students, but oftentimes the GGI, the Go Green Initiative, doesn't go directly to the students. We create content that is delivered by their existing infrastructure, their teachers, their principals, their parents, and what have you. And oftentimes, we take on the role of training the trainers. So schools already have people in place who are either teaching, like teaching, or teaching through role modeling on campus how to manage waste or how to manage recyclables. And so we are constantly creating new ways of bringing this message to all of these various groups that's interesting and is point on with what's going on in the communities. So, you know, what I might create for teacher training, next month I'll be doing teacher training for all the teachers in the Camden City School District. And some of the slides will look just like a teacher training that I might do for all the teachers in the Pleasanton Unified School District here in California. But not all of them. Some of them will be, you know, I'll do a lot of research, and there will be a lot of things that are very Camden specific and interesting to those audiences. So this takes a lot of homework, but this is what we do and how we create partners, because they can see that we tailor design our content. Another way that we create recycling partners and get community partners excited about our programs is that we give them lots of ways to get involved. Of course, if it's a business and it's a profitable business, we'll ask for funding first, because we like to create funding streams that go directly to schools. And a lot of you run nonprofit organizations, so you're going to feel my pain when I say this, but most of the money that we bring in with the Go Green Initiative is very restricted. It goes right through our organization to the schools. And what we do is manage the funds in such a way that we can report back to the people who gave it, to the corporations or businesses who gave that funding, exactly what the return on investment was for their funding. So if we're going to fund mini grants or field trips or what have you, we're going to put some things in place like measuring how much is recycled or by how much their waste stream went down, so that we can say your funding made this difference on campus. But we don't keep any of it, for the Go Green Initiative. That's a separate, way of raising money. But if companies or organizations can't provide, funding for contests, incentives, prizes, etc., they can oftentimes get involved in one of the following ways that you see on the left side of your screen. They might be able to host a field trip. They might be able to give us access to subject matter experts who can either come to the school and talk with the kids, or they can, get on a video chat with the kids and let the kids ask the mayor or the city manager anything they want about how recycling works in our community, or, how the waste system works in our community. But one of the best things that I have found that you can do to get students motivated and to get community partners motivated about what they're doing is to let the kids speak. If you can set up opportunities for the kids to come in and give a presentation, even the little ones, can give a little presentation to the Kiwanis, or the Lions Club, and the Chamber of Commerce, and, the Planning Commission, who knows. Again, these are ways that community groups can say yes. Give them a way to say yes. Sure, we'll let the kids come in and give us a 15-minute presentation about what they've learned on recycling. And who knows, maybe the following year, the yes will be, we'll let them come and tell us, and we'll give you a grant for incentives. So that's, we give them many entry points to get involved. And again, we've kind of already covered what's on the right side of the screen, but these are some of the ways, again, that we ask partners, community partners, to get involved. So let's see. Let me talk a little bit about how we're doing this whole community approach in Camden, New Jersey. You see some fast facts here about Camden. They are a very low academic performing district. In fact, their city school district is the lowest, one of the lowest performing districts in the state, and 3 of their schools are at the very, very bottom list of the state schools. And yet, despite these challenges, the superintendent and the principals and the entire school district have made it a priority to recycle. The city itself has about 77,000 residents. 40% are not just below the poverty line, they are way below the poverty line. The median household income, you can see there, is just $26,000. There's a lot of crime. You can see there that it's that there's a very high murder rate, and it often makes, there are various lists out there from magazines and different blogs and different newspapers who put out lists every year of, you know, dangerous cities, and Camden makes it every time. But the good news is they are doing a great job of recycling, and I'm going to talk to you about how they're doing that in just a moment. Conversely, we're also doing the whole community approach to recycling in my own hometown, Pleasanton. It's one of the highest performing school districts in the country, and almost every school in town is either a California Distinguished School and or a National Blue Ribbon School. It's similar in size to Camden. It has about 70,000 residents. 5% of the population lives below the poverty line, but the median household income is $118,000. And Pleasanton ranks number 4 on this list of best cities in which to live. So you're looking at, you know, two very, very different communities, and yet what I'm about to show you is how the Go Green Initiative's whole community approach is working in each one. So let's talk about Camden first. The partners that we have in the Camden recycling program are, of course, the school district, the Camden City School District. Covanta, they are the local waste-to-energy company. Community, which is where all the recyclables go in the community. The Carton Council is involved. Campbell Soup Foundation, of course, the GGI, and their County Division of Environmental Affairs. And you can see on this slide what each of us are doing. Of course, the school district, the superintendent is on board, absolutely, and he's made that very clear. The facilities officer is a terrific gentleman, and he has worked with every custodian in the school district, and this is a pretty, you know, spread out district. They have about 20 sites because they have preschool through 12th grade. This is a district where they serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So you can imagine the kind of food waste and packaging waste that they create. It's a very impoverished school district. Almost every single child on campus qualifies for the free lunch program. But the facilities office, they have put in recycling bins in every classroom. In addition to trash cans, they've labeled them all. They've put in recycling stations in every single cafeteria, and they're in the process of teaching the kids how to use them. They have trained and done habitual training with all the custodians so that on every campus, the custodian is a subject matter expert for how the campus waste system works. And the principals and teachers are taking on the role of being role models and training the kids how to do it. My organization, in fact, I say my organization, it's actually me, I'm personally doing this. I go out there from time to time and do face-to-face training and meetings, but for the most part, we try to watch our carbon footprint, and so instead of traveling, I do webinar trainings. Just 2 weeks ago, I did a training for every principal. It was mandated training in the district, and next month, all of the teachers will be trained via webinar, and then in April, I'll be going out there and doing in-person training with the green team at every school site. I also have been the one writing all the grants, bringing in all the community partnerships. I work the phones. I'm bringing in the money, the field trips, all of that stuff that you'll see on the right-hand side that community partners are providing. And the County Division of Environmental Affairs has been great. They have been providing inspections, tips for improvement, really training the facilities folks as they go along. And then the community partners are just, the continues to grow. And as the school districts do more and more, there are more and more partners coming on board to support what the schools are doing. So I'm really excited about what Camden is doing. And years and years ago, they had a great recycling program, but it kind of fell by the wayside because the school district has lost a lot of money in the last few years. And so they had a person who was in charge of the school district's recycling program, and that person had to be let go. And when that happened, recycling kind of stopped. And so this is a reboot, a relaunch of their recycling program, and they are really excited to get going, and I'm really proud of them. This is kind of the overview of what we're doing in Pleasanton. We're calling it the Local Leaders of the 21st Century. It's a program for high school students, and this is the first year that we're doing this. We are going to be studying how the waste, energy, water, and food systems in Pleasanton work. We're starting with waste. And so the students that are involved, I would have been happy if even 10 or 12 high school students signed up for this, but right now we have 84. So I'm pleasantly overwhelmed with kids coming around all the time and asking me stuff in the wee hours of the night. They have no texting boundaries, but that's okay. And they're going to be going to our local recycling center. They're going to be going to the landfill. They're going to be interviewing our mayor, our city manager, and lots of other folks who are involved with the local public policy and the local execution of our waste and recycling system. And then they're going to be going out and talking to various civic and service organizations, the Chamber of Commerce, some Rotary clubs, Kiwanis, etc., to talk about their impression, what they've learned, and what they think we might be able to do better, and what they think we need to do in order to have a sustainable waste system that is respectful of the environment and something that people can easily access and that our businesses can also access. And so I'm really, really excited for what they are doing at the moment. And now I would like to make sure that that was kind of a breathless sprint through those slides, but I want to get to your questions. And so I'm going to take a look here and see if there are any questions. If you haven't typed any in, let's see. Okay. What is the website address for the EPA calculator mentioned? Okay, I will get you that, Janet. Thank you for asking that. I'll make sure that I get that out to you all. I don't have it right here. Jeff Rivero has asked, are there places that will fund internships, grants? Let's see, Jeff, you are from, let me look here. Jeff Rivero, I saw your name on the, you are from Merced. You and I could have a talk. Yeah, Merced's big enough that there will be places that could fund internships and grants. And I would start with looking at the membership of your Chamber of Commerce. That's always my first go-to spot to find out what businesses are in town, and start looking for ones that either say they're green, want to be green, have something to do with green. But I'd be happy to go through that with you, maybe have a one-on-one meeting to talk about that as well. Karina Goodwin has asked, how many elementary schools in this district? Karina, let's see, you are from, let's see, Recycle This Now. So I'm not sure what city that's in. If you want to let me know, Karina, I might be able to tell you that one. Jeff asked, do you have a teacher's guide for what's going on in Pleasanton? That is being created as we speak. This is a beta situation for the local leaders for the 21st century, but I am willing to share everything I've got so far. Janet asks, do you address food waste and food rescue at schools? Yes, we do. And it's going to depend on what system is in town. As I mentioned, like for instance in Camden, right now they have nowhere to take their food waste. There's no place to go. But when we go into a community where there is a composting program, where there is a place, for green waste or organics, then we're going to make sure that the schools know that, and that they, that they work with whoever the hauler is, whether that's their current waste hauler or whether it's another hauling company, to ensure that they can participate in that food waste program. Food rescue programs, again, are community by community. I know that in some school districts that is very difficult based on the rules of the state and that the child nutrition services are under, but we help every community who wants to do that find out what their local rules are. Let's see, Janet asked, how does a school district work with the GGI to work on programs like in Pleasanton and Camden? Here's the thing. They can contact us. I want to bring up, hang on one second. Let me pause my screen. I'm going to bring up my website here. I'll show you my website. Okay. And this is our website, gogreeninitiative.org. This is our planning guide, which actually, if you go to our website and you type planning guide in the search box right there, and you hit it, you'll come to the planning guide, and that's sort of a step-by-step guide to setting up a program very similar to what I've been talking about. But schools that need extra help, who say, okay, we looked at the planning guide, still don't get it, we need more help, they can reach out to us, and we either will help them find, maybe somebody like you, Janet, who's already in their community who could help them, and then you and I could work together to help create a program, a GGI program in your area. Or, if we have the resources, if we have interns or whatever, we might have somebody on staff who can directly help them. But one of the things that I will say about the Go Green Initiative is that if there's already a subject matter expert in the community, like a city recycling coordinator or a great nonprofit that's just kicking it, and they really know what's going on with recycling, if those folks are willing to work with me a little bit, we can train anybody to kind of become the franchise owner of this initiative in your community. I have done this all over the country where I have trained city and county recycling coordinators at their state association conventions. I did that out in New York. I've done it in state affiliate of the National Recycling Coalition, and I spent time training the trainers, and then they went off and they were the ones who ran the Go Green Initiative in their area. So that's something that is always on the table. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Please address institutionalizing program beyond Amazing Parents that graduates. Diane Hazard, that's a great question. Diane, I see that you are from Encinitas, and that's so close to San Diego, one of my favorite places in the world, that I'd love to come down and help you face to face. I would just come on down any old time you want me to. I love San Diego. Institutionalizing the program means a few things. In my mind, it means getting a commitment from the principal. I like to have it as a school district commitment, getting the school board to adopt a resolution. Again, the Go Green Initiative has been endorsed by the National School Boards Association, so a lot of times our affiliates will take that to their local and say, look, the National School Boards Association has endorsed this. Why can't you? Can you institutionalize this? Set some goals and do that at the school district level. And that's important because some things that schools, individual schools, do not have control over themselves. They may not have control over their waste contract. They may not have control over what paper gets purchased for their copiers if you want to start buying recycled content paper, and a million other things that you might want to purchase. And that's why if you've got the school board on board making a commitment, that's the best way to institutionalize it. But if you can't get to that right away, getting one school on board, getting the principal in the local paper, along with some cute kids who are doing excited, and getting that on the front page above the fold in your local newspaper can work wonders, because you can't believe the way that elected officials and other schools come out of the woodwork to be part of that when you have a robust media relations program going on. So again, I could do a whole webinar just on media relations and how impactful that can be, and maybe I will if you guys want that, but that's what I'll say about that. I'll get to these other questions here. How many schools are there in Camden? I'm not working with their charter schools. Karina asked that question. Karina Goodwin from Recycling, a good question. There are 25 Camden school districts that I'm working with. The charter schools and some of the other schools, I'm not working with them at this time, but that's how many there are in the CCSD. Diane asked, does the green team only include adults, or do you have a student on the green team? Great question, Diane. Again, I would love to come down to the San Diego County area, answer that face-to-face. I'm just waiting for an invitation. Yes, include students. absolutely, even at the elementary level, because, you know, fourth graders and fifth graders, even some third graders, they are fully capable of taking on a leadership role. And once they are part of the green team, they can do amazing things, going out and doing some peer coaching and doing some, peer-to-peer mentoring with classes, going around giving, little presentations. So absolutely have students on the green team. Diane also asked, do many of your schools compost on site? Yes. I would say most of them do. That's a big component of the Go Green initiative, but there are some areas of the country where weather-wise it's kind of difficult for them. Our Texas schools have had trouble with that because the worms get fried, and they've had trouble, getting composting going year-round. So we're working on that. But yeah, we do have a lot of campuses that are composting. Jeff Rivero asked, will you be at the Green Summit this October? Would be great to have a session with you there. Thanks, Jeff. And you know what? I did put in a request to give a panel at the session. So maybe if you could, there's 2 people you can email, and you can put in a good word for us. His name, the president of CRA is Rob Hilton, and then Peter Sloat. Those 2 gentlemen are going to be setting the program. So if you get on the CRI website and you email Rob and Peter and tell them that you want us, then maybe they will slot us, because I would love to do a session there too. And I've actually asked to do that. And what I'm planning to do, if they accept our proposal, is to bring a superintendent, a custodian, and a teacher and students with me who will each talk about and also a waste hauler that was part of the presentation too, where they will each talk about their roles and their responsibilities in making the program work. Rupa asked, I'm a parent volunteer, and we successfully introduced the food composting program at our elementary school in Fremont, right on, but the junior high and high schools in our district, which generate so much more waste, do not have this at all. How can we go about getting the school district to prioritize this? Can the GGI help? Yes, we can help. Oh, you know what? Let me hang on and go back to Jeff's question. I think the summit that you were talking about might not be the CRA summit. You might have been talking about the Green Technology School Summit, Jeff. And if you were, I was talking about the CRA conference in the fall, which is actually in August. So my bad. I might be at the Green Technical School Summit in October, not sure. Sorry about that. So back to Rupa. The GGI can help with that, actually. And if you want to shoot me an email, here's my email. It's Jill Buck, JILLBUCK, at Comcast.net. And Rupa, I have great news for you. I actually know a teenager who lives in Fremont, goes to one of the Fremont high schools, and is hot on environmental issues and has been working with the city staff. So we might be able to look at this whole community picture, working with her and getting the city involved as well. So let's give it a whirl. Email me, Rupa. I love that idea. Janet, I know Diane, and we want you to come to San Diego. Thank you, Janet. You know what? Just let's find a reason. I'll be down there. It's an easy flight down to San Diego. Karina asked, for Diane, we have over 200 Green Team members at our elementary. Wow, that's so great. Composting on site in San Diego also has regulations. Yeah, and we have found that not just in San Diego, but LA as well. And that's why it is so, so, so important to work with those community partners, that schools don't go off, like a loose cannon, reading some generic manual about organics and composting, but that they really work with the people who make that system work in their county or in their city so that they do it properly. And that's one of the main things that we try to do with this whole community approach, and that is get people talking to their subject matter experts in their community, okay? So, wow, how an hour flies. I am so grateful to all of you who have hung in there with us, and we're going to have this webinar up on our website. I'm going to ask Bob to come back on in just a moment and make sure that you all know where to find it. It'll be recorded and you can share it with anybody. I'll give you my email again. It's JILLBUCK@Comcast.net. Be patient with me though. I do get a lot of emails. I will return your email. May not be same day though, but I promise I will. If you have any questions, I would love to help you, all of you. So thanks so much for being with us. And now, Bob, I want to let you come back on here. And if you have anything you'd like to say in wrapping this up, that would be great.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Jill. I just sent a link out to everybody who's in attendance to the K-12 Technical Council website. The Technical Council is part of the CRRA, and this is where we'll be posting our webinars. Jill and I are currently working on a redesign, so that may change soon. Come back and visit frequently. You can also sign up for our newsletter here, and then come back in later and view all of our resources. We've got some great K-12 recycling videos that we put together for schools that appeal to a wide range of ages from K-12 on up, and coming from places like Curiosity Quest and various other resources. So come in, check it out, and we'll be getting the webinar up there for you shortly. Anything else, Jill?
Nope, that's it for me. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the day.